Michelle Marie Pfeiffer is an American actress and producer. She has received many accolades, including a Golden Globe Award and 3 nominations for Academy Award.
Pfeiffer began to pursue an acting career in 1978 and had her first leading role in the musical film Grease 2. Frustrated with being typecast as the token pretty girl, she actively pursued more serious material and had her breakthrough role as gangster mole Elvira Hancock in the crime film Scarface. Further success came with leading roles in the fantasy feature The Witches of Eastwick and the comedy Married to the Mob. Her roles in Dangerous Liaisons and The Fabulous Baker Boys garnered her 2 consecutive Academy Award nominations for Best Supporting Actress and Best Actress, respectively. Her portrayal of lounge singer Susie Diamond in the latter is one of the most acclaimed of her career.
Pfeiffer went on to star as Catwoman/Selina Kyle in Tim Burton's superhero film Batman Returns, following which she won the Silver Bear for Best Actress and earned a 3rd Academy Award nomination for playing a troubled housewife in Love Field. She continued to gain praise for her performances in the dramas The Age of Innocence and White Only Under, and the horror films Wolf and What Lies Beneath. During this time, she also produced a series of films under her production company Via Rosa Productions. After a hiatus from acting in 2002, she returned with the musical Hairspray. She received her first Emmy Award nomination for portraying Ruth Madoff in the HBO television film The Wizard of Lies. She went on to feature in the ensemble films Murder on the Orient Express and debuted to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Janet Van Dyne starring Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Michelle Marie Pfeiffer was born in Santa Ana, California, on April 29, 1958, the second of 4 children of Richard Pfeiffer, an air conditioning contractor, and Donna, a housewife. She has one elder brother, Rick, and 2 younger sisters, Didi Pfeiffer, a television and film actress, and Lori Pfeiffer. Her parents were both originally from North Dakota. Her paternal grandfather was of German ancestry and her paternal grandmother was of English, Welsh, French, Irish, and Dutch descent, while her maternal grandfather was of Swiss-German descent and her maternal grandmother of Swedish ancestry. The family moved to Midway City, another Orange County community around 7 miles away, where Pfeiffer spent her childhood.
Pfeiffer attended Fountain Valley High School, graduating in 1976. She worked as a checkout girl at Vaughn's Supermarket and attended Golden West College, where she was a member of Alpha Delta Pi sorority. After a short stint training to be a court stenographer, she decided upon an acting career. She won the Miss Orange County Beauty Pageant in 1978 and participated in the Miss California contest the same year, finishing in 6th place. Following her participation in these pageants, she acquired an acting agent and began to audition for television and films.
Pfeiffer made her acting debut in 1978 in a 1-episode appearance of Fantasy Island. Other roles on television series followed, including Delta House, Chips, Enos and BAD. Cats. Pfeiffer transitioned to film with the comedy The Hollywood Knights, with Tony Danza appearing as high school sweethearts. She subsequently played supporting roles in Falling in Love Again with Susanna York and Charlie Chon and The Curse of the Dragon Queen, none of which met with much critical or box office success. She appeared in a television commercial for Lux Soap and took acting lessons at the Beverly Hills Playhouse, before appearing in 3 1981 television movies, Callie and Son, with Lindsay Wagner, The Children Nobody Wanted and Splendor in the Grass.
Pfeiffer obtained her first major film role as the female lead in Grease 2, the sequel to the smash hit musical film Grease. With only a few television roles and small film appearances, the 23-year-old Pfeiffer was an unknown actress when she attended the casting call audition for the role, but according to director Patricia Birch, she won the part because she has a quirky quality you don't expect. The film was a critical and commercial failure, but the New York Times remarked, although she is a relative screen newcomer, Miss Pfeiffer manages to look much more insouciant and comfortable than anyone else in the cast. Despite escaping the critical mauling, her agent later admitted that her association with the film meant that she couldn't get any jobs. Nobody wanted to hire her. On her early screen roles, she asserted, I needed to learn how to act. In the meantime, I was plating bimbos and cashing in on my looks.
Director Brian De Palma, having seen Grease 2, refused to audition Pfeiffer for Scarface, but relented at the insistence of Martin Bregman, the film's producer. She was cast as cocaine-addicted trophy wife Elvira Hancock. The film was considered excessively violent by most critics, but became a commercial hit and gained a large cult following in subsequent years. Pfeiffer received positive reviews for her supporting turn. Richard Corliss of Time magazine wrote, "Most of the large cast is fine. Michelle Pfeiffer is better." While Dominic Dunn, in an article for Vanity Fair titled Blonde Ambition, wrote, "He is on the verge of stardom. In the parlance of the industry, she is hot."
Following Scarface, she played Diana in John Landis' comedy Into the Night, with Jeff Goldblum, Isabeau Danjou and Richard Donner's fantasy film Laddiehock, with Rutger Hauer and Matthew Broderick, Faith Healy and Alan Alda's Sweet Liberty, with Michael Caine, and Brenda Landers in a segment of the 1950s sci-fi parody Amazon Women on the Moon, all of which, despite achieving only modest commercial success, helped to establish her as an actress. She finally scored a major box office hit as Suki Ridgemont in the 1987 adaptation of John Updike's novel The Witches of Eastwick, with Jack Nicholson, Cher, and Susan Sarandon. The film grossed over $63.7 million domestically, the equivalent to $143.5 million in 2019 dollars.
Pfeiffer was cast against type as a murdered gangster's widow in Jonathan Demme's mafia comedy Married to the Mob, with Matthew Modine, Dean Stockwell, and Mercedes Roll. For the role of Angela DeMarco, she donned a curly brunette wig and a Brooklyn accent, and received her first Golden Globe Award nomination as Best Actress in a Motion Picture Musical or Comedy, beginning a 6-year streak of consecutive Best Actress nominations at the Golden Globes. Pfeiffer then appeared as chic restaurateur's Joanne Valinari in Tequila Sunrise with Mel Gibson and Kurt Russell, but experienced creative and personal differences with director Robert Towne, who later described her as the most difficult actress he has ever worked with.
At Jen's personal recommendation, Pfeiffer joined the cast of Stephen Frears' Dangerous Liaisons, with Glenn Close and John Malkovich, playing the virtuous victim of seduction, Madame Marie de Tourville. Her performance won her widespread acclaim. Hal Hinson of The Washington Post saw Pfeiffer's role as the least obvious and the most difficult. "Nothing is harder to play than virtue, and Pfeiffer is smart enough not to try. Instead, she embodies it. Her porcelain-skinned beauty, in this regard, is a great asset, and the way it's used makes it seem an aspect of her spirituality." She won the BAFTA Award for Best Actress in a Supporting Role and received a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress.
Pfeiffer then accepted the role of Susie Diamond, a hard-edged former call girl turned lounge singer, in The Fabulous Baker Boys, which co-starred Jeff Bridges and Beau Bridges as the eponymous Baker Boys. She underwent intensive voice training for the role for 4 months, and performed all of her character's vocals. The film was a modest success, grossing $18.4 million in the US. Her portrayal of Susie, however, drew rave reviews from critics. Critic Roger Ebert compared her to Rita Hayworth in Gilda and to Marilyn Monroe in Some Like It Hot, adding that the film was one of the movies they will use as a document, years from now, when they begin to trace the steps by which Pfeiffer became a great star. During the 1989 to 1990 awards season, Pfeiffer dominated the Best Actress category at every major award ceremony, winning awards at the Golden Globes, the National Board of Review, the National Society of Film Critics, the New York Film Critics Circle, the Los Angeles Film Critics Association Award for Best Actress and the Chicago Film Critics Association. Pfeiffer's performance as Susie is considered to be the most critically acclaimed of her career.
Pfeiffer took the part of the Soviets book editor Katya Orlova in the 1990 film adaptation of John le Carré's The Russian House, with Sean Connery, a role that required her to adopt a Russian accent. For her efforts, she was rewarded with a Golden Globe nomination for Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture, Drama. Pfeiffer then landed the role of damaged waitress Frankie in Gary Marshall's Frankie and Johnny, a film adaptation of Terrence McNally's Broadway play Frankie and Johnny and the Clair de Lune, which reunited her with her Scarface co-star, Al Pacino. The casting was seen as controversial by many, as Pfeiffer was considered far too beautiful to play an ordinary waitress. Kathy Bates, the original Frankie on Broadway, also expressed disappointment over the producer's choice. Pfeiffer herself stated that she took the role because it wasn't what people would expect of. Pfeiffer was once again nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress, Motion Picture Drama for her performance.
In 1990, Pfeiffer formed her own boutique film production company, Via Rosa Productions, which ran for 10 years. The company allowed her to produce and or star in films tailored for strong women. She asked her best friend Kate Ginsburg to be her producing partner at the company. The two met on the set of the film Sweet Liberty and quickly became friends. Kate was the production coordinator on the film and became close with Pfeiffer over the course of the shoot. Via Rosa Productions was under a picture deal with Touchstone Pictures, a film label of the Walt Disney Studios. The first film the duo produced was the independent drama Love Field, which was released in late 1992. Reviewers embraced the film, and the New York Times felt that Pfeiffer was again demonstrating that she is as subtle and surprising as she is beautiful. For her portrayal of the eccentric Dallas housewife, she earned nominations for the Academy Award for Best Actress and the Golden Globe for Best Actress, Drama, and won the Silver Bear for Best Actress at the 43rd Berlin International Film Festival.
Pfeiffer took the role of Catwoman in Tim Burton's superhero film Batman Returns, with Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito, after a neck-bending withdrew due to pregnancy. For the role of Catwoman, she trained in martial arts and kickboxing. Pfeiffer has received universal critical acclaim for the role, and her performance is consistently referred to as the greatest portrayal of Catwoman of all time by critics and fans, and is also one of the best-regarded performances of her career. Premiere retrospectively lauded her performance, arguably the outstanding villain of the Tim Burton era. Michelle Pfeiffer's deadly kitten with a whip brought sex to the normally neutered franchise. Her stitched-together, black patent leather costume, based on a sketch of Burton's, remains the character's most iconic look. And Michelle Pfeiffer overcomes Batman Returns' heavy-handed feminist dialogue to deliver a growling, fierce performance. Batman Returns was a big box office success, grossing over $266 million worldwide.
In Martin Scorsese's period drama The Age of Innocence, a film adaptation of Edith Wharton's 1920 novel, Pfeiffer starred with Daniel Day-Lewis and Winona Ryder, portraying a countess in upper-class New York City in the 1870s. For her role, she received the Elvira Notari Prize at the Venice Film Festival and a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress, Motion Picture. Also in 1993, she was awarded the Women in Film Los Angeles Crystal Award for outstanding women who, through their endurance and the excellence of their work, have helped to expand the role of women within the entertainment industry.
Following the formation of her producing company in 1990, Pfeiffer saw a growing professional expansion as a producer. While she continued to act steadily throughout the decade, she and her producing partner Ginsburg experienced a winning streak of producing back-to-back films next under their Via Rosa Productions header. In the 1994 horror film Wolf, she starred with Jack Nicholson, portraying the sardonic and willful interest of a writer who becomes a wolfman at night after being bitten by a creature. The film was released to a mixed critical reception, the New York Times wrote. Ms. Pfeiffer's role is underwritten, but her performance is expert enough to make even diffidence compelling. Wolf was a commercial success, grossing $65 million at the domestic box office and $131 million worldwide.
Pfeiffer's next role was that of high school teacher and former United States Marine Luann Johnson in the drama Dangerous Minds, which was co-produced under her company Via Rosa Productions. She appeared as her character in the music video for the soundtrack's lead single, Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio, featuring LV. The song won the 1996 Grammy Award for Best Rap Solo Performance, and the video won the MTV Video Music Award for Best Rap Video. While Dangerous Minds received negative reviews, it was a box office success, grossing $179.5 million around the globe. Pfeiffer portrayed Sally Atwater in the romantic drama Up Close and Personal with Robert Redford.
Pfeiffer took the role of Gillian Lewis into Gillian on her 37th birthday, which was adapted by her husband David Kelly from Michael Brady's play of the same name. Under their Via Rosa Productions header, Pfeiffer and Ginsberg produced the films One Fine Day, 8,000 Acres and The Deep End of the Ocean. She voiced of Zipporah for animated film The Prince of Egypt. She served as an executive producer and starred as the divorced single mother architect Melanie Parker in the romantic comedy One Fine Day with George Clooney. Subsequent performances included Rose Cook Lewis in the film adaptation of Jane Smiley's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel 8,000 Acres with Jessica Lange and Jennifer Jason Leigh, Beth Capadora in The Deep End of the Ocean about a married couple who found their son who was kidnapped 9 years ago, Titania the Queen of the Fairies in A Midsummer Night's Dream with Kevin Kline, Rupert Everett, and Stanley Tucci, and Katie Jordan in Rob Reiner's comedy drama The Story of Us with Bruce Willis.
Pfeiffer chose to begin the process of dissolving her film production company, Via Rosa Productions, in 1999, and move into semi-retirement in order to spend more quality time with her children and family, meaning that she would continue to star in films sporadically into the 2000s and beyond. Pfeiffer handed her producing partner Ginsberg one final film to produce under the Via Rosa Productions header. The film was called Original Sin. It was originally intended to star Pfeiffer, who later changed her mind as she was looking to work less for a while. The film was produced by her company, but instead starred Angelina Jolie and Antonio Banderas.
In the Hitchcockian thriller What Lies Beneath, Pfeiffer and Harrison Ford starred as a well-to-do couple who experience a strange haunting that uncovers secrets about their past. While critical response towards the film was mixed, it opened atop at the box office in July 2000 and went on to gross $291 million worldwide. She then accepted the role of Rita Harrison, a highly strung lawyer helping a father with a developmental disability, in the drama I Am Sam, with Sean Penn. Despite grossing $97.8 million worldwide, the movie received unfavorable reviews. Seattle Post-Intelligencer wrote, Pfeiffer, apparently stymied by the bland cliches that prop up her screechy role, delivers her flattest, phoniest performance ever. Meanwhile, SF Gate observed, in one scene, she breaks down in tears as she unburdens herself to him about her miserable life. It's hard not to cringe, watching this emotionally ready actress fling herself headlong into false material.
Pfeiffer took on the role of a murderous artist, named Ingrid Magnusson, in the drama White Oleander, with Alison Lohman, Renee Zellweger, and Robin Wright. The film was an art house success and Pfeiffer garnered a substantial amount of critical praise. Stephen Holden of the New York Times wrote that Ms. Pfeiffer, giving the most complex screen performance of her career, makes her Olympian seductress at once irresistible and diabolical. Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times described her as incandescent, bringing power and unshakable will to her role as Mother Master Manipulator in a riveting, impeccable performance. She earned Best Supporting Actress awards from the San Diego Film Critics Society and the Kansas City Film Critics Circle, as well as a Screen Actors Guild Award nomination.
Pfeiffer lent her voice for the character of Goddess of Chaos Eris in Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas, an animated film featuring Brad Pitt as the voice of Sinbad the Sailor. She had struggles with finding the character's villainies. Initially the character was too sexual, then she lacked fun. After the third rewrite, Pfeiffer called producer Jeffrey Katzenberg and told him, you really can fire me, but he assured her that this was just part of the process. Following the release of the film, she took a 4-year hiatus from acting, during which she remained largely out of the public eye to devote time to her husband and children. At the time, she turned down the role of the White Witch in the fantasy film The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which went to Tilda Swinton.
Pfeiffer returned to the screen in 2007 with villainous roles in 2 major summer blockbusters, Hairspray and Stardust. In the film adaptation of the Broadway musical Hairspray, she starred with John Travolta, Christopher Walken, Zac Efron, and Queen Latifah in the role of Velma Von Tussle, the racist manager of a television station. Travolta requested that Pfeiffer play the part of the villainess, which was her first film role in 5 years. A widely positive reception greeted the film upon its release, while it made an impressive $118.9 million and $202.5 million worldwide. The cast of Hairspray was nominated for the Screen Actors Guild Award for Best Cast in a Motion Picture, but won the Broadcast Film Critics Association Award for Best Cast, the Hollywood Film Festival Award for Ensemble of the Year, and the Palm Springs International Film Festival Award for Ensemble Cast. Her next film release, the fantasy adventure Stardust, with Claire Danes, Charlie Cox, and Robert De Niro, saw her play the ancient witch Lamia. Filmed before Hairspray, the film premiered 3 weeks afterwards. It garnered largely positive reviews, but, budgeted at $70 million, it made a modest $135.5 million globally.
Pfeiffer starred in Amy Heckerling's romantic comedy I Could Never Be Your Woman, with Paul Rudd and Saoirse Ronan, portraying Rosie, a 40-year-old divorced mother working as a scriptwriter and producer for a television show who falls in love with a much younger man. Her reported salary was $1 million, with an advance on 15% of the gross. However, the film was only distributed on home video markets. Reviews for I Could Never Be Your Woman were moderately positive, with critic James Berardinelli finding Pfeiffer and Rudd to have adequate chemistry to pull off the romance in what he described as an enjoyable romantic comedy that has enough going for it to make it worth a recommendation. She next starred in Personal Effects, with Ashton Kutcher, playing two grieving people coping with the pain and frustration of their loss whose bond spawns an unlikely romance. The drama premiered at Iowa City's Englert Theater.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.